show. And I just want to say to everyone, thank you so much for being here. Please like and share, help push this out. And those who know me, I've got a gammy eye, and it is really playing up. So the camera is off this evening, but it will be back on tomorrow. Now, John, you have been busy. You have been busy and in demand. Give us the full rundown of what you've been up to, mate.
Well,
let me just hang on a second. Let me change this. There we go. On you go.
Well, things have gone cosmic, really. It started with the Daily Express newspaper getting in touch with me and just saying that we've seen some of your work. How comes we've never heard of you? Which is a lie, because I knew a journalist from the Daily Express, and it's just that they sort of kept me, out the way, really, all these papers. And I think someone started realising there's merit in what I've been saying, and there's some sort of credulity to me. So it all started when a member of Parliament, a Conservative MP, challenged the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and held him to account about Khan's denial of grooming gangs. And he sort of then engaged in this sort of play on words, and really he sort of denigrated and mocked not only the MP Susan Hall, but also the survivors of child pimping out or whatever. So the Daily Express, they've obviously done their research and they realised, well, we've heard about Rotherham and Rochdale, blah blah blah. But it sort of tends to sort of monopolise anything to do with the stuff I deal with, and of course I don't deal with the Pakistani gangs. It's there were Pakistanis, like there were Albanians.
Just because you brought him up, John, can you touch on just a little bit on Sadiq Khan and his outburst, denial of the GG?
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm going with this. And so they asked me, look, as a copper from London, is it true that there's no such cases? And I went, well, it's absolute nonsense. This is the guy's lying. As is the Commissioner of Met Police, and they thought it would become libelous what I did, and I said, no, you proved me wrong. Any of you lot prove me wrong, because you won't prove me wrong, because I'm telling the truth and I know the truth. And the truth is, this is a massive problem that they've tried to suppress for decades, before me and after me. And until someone grasps the nettle, this is going to go on and kids will die.
Yeah.
End of. You either listen to me or you don't. You want to listen to all the grooming gangs in the north and all that, crack on. But why are you all ignoring London? It's bigger and more dirtier than any other part of the country. Anyway, this interview went out and it went mental. And what happened was Elon Musk picked it up and he retweeted my interview. And it went from, I don't know, the tens of thousands to the tens of millions.
Wow.
Within minutes, really. So I get a message through saying Elon Musk has just put your thing on X and, and all that. And it's gone crazy.
What did you think when you heard that, John? What was that like?
It sort of doesn't mean too much, really. But I thought, well, good. Good. It's good to, someone taking me seriously, really. It's nice, that he's done it. So that all of a sudden, it went mad. So I had every single media agency bar the top four, and I'll tell you who they are.
Okay.
Right? The BBC, ITN, right? Sky. Well, let's just stick with them, to be honest. Three then.
Okay.
Right? BBC, ITN, and Sky, and Channel 4, right? Channel 4, that's it. They totally ignored it, right? Wouldn't even go there. But ITN and BBC did invite me in for interviews, for live interviews. And I went, yeah, I'll come in, no problem. So both of them, when I got to the door of their premises, and both of them, on different occasions, obviously, turned around and said, no, we're going to have to cancel it. There's been an issue at management level, and we'll get back to you another time. And especially the BBC, they seem to be in quite a panic over it. So they can get stuffed, can't they, at the BBC? Really, I mean, who do they think they are? But anyway, so the times.
John, I'm not being funny. I would have paid good money to have been on your entourage if you ever decided to do a BBC interview. Like, I just want to point out, like, it would be like the most unholy of places for you to ever step foot in, you know?
Well, the irony of this. So when I spoke to the production manager of BBC, she went, "Oh, you know, we've just come across you," which is a nonsense. And I'm going to give you an exclusive here.
All right, let's go.
Because 8 years ago, I took all of my hard evidence and my testimony. I was invited, a member of Parliament arranged for me to see the head of current affairs for BBC, a guy called Tom Simons. Heard it first here because it's the truth, so there's nothing libelous about this. And I spent half a day with him, and he turned around to me and said, "I don't think this is newsworthy." So,
wow,
this could have been exposed by the BBC 8 years ago. 8 years ago. And
their track record isn't really in favor of the mission, John.
No,
you know,
and also the Sun newspaper sort of let it down because their head, who is a nice bloke, their head of investigations, he spent 2 days with me and he went, "Look, we're going to do something with this," and never did. I think someone breathed down the neck, but the Sun are back on board now, so I'm currently working with the Sun newspaper.
Nice.
The Times were really good. They did a great thing. I got on the front page of the Express, so I got on the Sunday Express front page. I got something like 13 pages on there. They did a huge thing on me. The Mail did an article.
Let me ask you.
It went mental.
Let me just quickly interrupt you, John. I'm sorry. This is the last time I'm going to interrupt John. Are you suspicious about the timing of this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's maybe not, but it's come out. Either way, it's come out. So I've got to ride the wave. It's as simple as that.
100%. 100%.
But I then get I do 5 interviews, news interviews, live ones in a day. So I end up on GB News with Nigel Farage. So he invites me on his show, Nigel Farage. So I sit down with him, do a live with him. And then LBC. And I sat down with a guy called Andrew Marr, who's the head of their political correspondent department. And I found him a really nice guy. And I'd seen him on the telly a few times, Andrew Marr, but he was all right. He had very intellectual, very learned, but he seemed to have a bit of heart about him. He gave off a real good vibe. Farage, you didn't get much off him, but and then I went from LBC to Talk TV to GB News, and I went on and on and on. And I did a thing with the Times. They've got a live national news thing, and it just went absolutely rocketed. And at the same time, I got approached by a production company, and I'm not allowed to say who it is, but it's someone there's 2 guys run this production company, and one of the guys is incredibly well known. He's a very, very well known guy in I'd say the music industry, really, but he's sort of like the money man for a production company. And and so they said, "Look, would you be interested in putting something together?" And I went, "Yeah." And I said, "How do you want to do it?" They said, "Well, we thought you'd show us." And I went, "Well, come on the street then. We'll go on the street." And they went, "You sure?" I went, "Yeah, let's go on the street." So we actually went on the street. We went through the night, and we had to have security with us because it was dangerous. And we just went to all the red light areas and looking for children. And we were successful within 90 minutes.
Oh my God.
It was just, and the guy he was stunned. He was shocked. He couldn't believe it. It was like, this is unbelievable.
Can you take us through like what happened, like how that played out? Just, you were wandering around, you've got this crew with you.
It's something I did, you see. So there's an eye to it, It's a bit like these officers that go out to pick up pickpockets.
Right, so you're just undercover. You're wandering around. You're just surveying the area. And then
you first of all, I want to get to the child. What do we call them? I don't know. We used to call them Toms, right?
Yeah.
It's rhyming slang for Thomas More. It's a vernacular term. We call them so. It's for the argument. It's don't want to get you demonetised, but we call them Toms, and they're street workers, right? They're in the SEX game, right?
Yep.
So we're looking for a child Tom. So, the first thing is usually I would go to the kids' zone, the way outside the kids' zones, but on this occasion I said, let's go to the red light. So I went to the known red light areas, and I just approached the street girls, the street Toms, and said, look, are there any young girls out here? And they went, yeah, there are. Go up the road. So they told us where to go. They were fully on board with us. One of the women actually had been watching my video. She knew me.
Wow.
And she said, I'll help you all the way, John. And, and then she introduced me to someone. And this woman, she'd been doing it since she was 14. And it was her mum. It was her mum who was working her. Her mum was a pimp. It was, anyway, the crew that I was with, they couldn't believe it. I think they were a little bit distressed by it. It was a night of non-stop madness. And it was appalling, really.
Let me ask you, the production team,
London.
when they were going into this with you, like how quickly, was the reality for them setting in, and how much were they affected by the reality?
It was in a heartbeat. You could see it. You could see it actually in the guy's face. He used to shake his head. He went, "I can't believe this, John." I went, "It's sad, isn't it?" He went,
It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting if they had given you their expectations ahead of the first out, and if you'd said, "This is what you should do next time," sit down and say, "So, what do you think What do you think is going to happen?" And if they say,
do you know what was annoying? That I was approached by someone, a journalist from BBC Radio 4, same time, about 8 years ago, and I said to her, she had her own radio show on Radio 4 where she would interview politicians and things like that, and she said, well, we'd love to do something with you. So I said, well, get a car, rent a car out, we'll go out in the car and I'll show you. And she wouldn't do it. She went, oh, no, I don't think that it'll make good radio. It's an absolute nonsense. So all these major, anyway, I sort of went back onto Talk TV. By the way, I met Jeremy Kyle today in the TV studios.
Oh, dude, why is that the most exciting part of all of this for me, right? If you ever meet him again, you say it was a travesty, his show was taken away, like you were, it was, one of my goals was to be in the audience. Anyway, carry on, John. Sorry.
Yeah, and his colleagues call him Jezza. They actually do call him Jezza, so there we go. So I met Jezza, which was good. Anyway, so I went back onto a news channel, and I said, right, the mayor said this don't exist. He's an absolute liar. Look, this is a reality, and I spilled it all for them. Anyway, the very next day, the mayor Sadiq Khan puts out a media statement saying John Wedger's a malicious liar.
Wow. So
I put a challenge out, live on international news, and I said, well, prove me a liar. And I said, if you want, I'll show you this is a reality. If you really think this don't exist, I will burst that bubble for you now. But also in doing so, I'm not just going to give you a problem. I'll give you a solution. I'll show you how you fix this and how you deal with this. Absolutely nothing. And then I called out to the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, who was also in some sort of bizarre state of denial, Mark Rowley. Now, strange enough, Mark Rowley, when the Commissioner of the Police, the Assistant Commissioner, Cressida Dick, was attacking me, as was her predecessor, Hogan Howe, both despicable in my opinion. I don't like them. And I actually called Cressida Dick a liar in a civil hearing. So stick that up your pipe. I don't care for these people, right? For their failure. But Mark Rowley actually stopped the bullying campaign against me. So I know this man's got a heart. So I called out to him and I said, Mark, please don't be the commissioner everyone hates. I know you have a heart. I did this live on TV. I know you have a heart. I know deep down you're a good man, no matter what people know, criticizing you. But those who know you, they'll confirm what I'm saying. I said, be the good man here. Turn this around and be the commissioner who does something about this. I implore you. be the man, make a stand on this. And I said, I'll tell you what now, you'll love yourself for it. Don't be the man who does nothing. Be the man that people remembered who did something, right? The next day, Mark Rowley, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, for whatever reason, right, it's not been public knowledge, he then turned around and said, we are now going to reinvestigate 9,000 cases of children involved in the SEX industry. Straight away, overnight, bang. Now, today, Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, has turned around and said he's now going to fund the investigation into this by the sum of 2.5 million, 2.4 million. So I've just been on the news again prior to coming on the show. I've been in the studios in central London, and I sort of got a pat on the back, really. So what happened was the presenter of the news channel, a guy called Kevin O'Sullivan, who used to be the senior correspondent for the Daily Mail, he turned around and said, John, you did this. And I went, no, I didn't. It's collective. It's the whole thing. The whole gang did this. I said, I'm not taking, the accolade for this. I said, no, it's collectively we did it. He went, whatever you say, but well done. It will never come out, and it won't. And he said, why do you think he's done it? I said, because he's been shamed. He's been embarrassed. He's been shamed into doing this because they have done nothing. They've deliberately hidden this, because once you lift the lid on this, it goes in all directions, and it's deep and it's damaging, and you can never put the lid back because it will hemorrhage. But you can't ignore this. It's a cancer. It has to be cut out and it has to be dealt with. But here's the interesting thing. Because it went viral, what had happened, and the news appearances I had, I sort of held my own, stood my own ground with them. What happened then was that I get contacted by the police service of Northern Ireland, formerly the RUC. And they said, we believe that you've got information relating to the disappearance and murder of a young boy. Now, if you recall, on this show, when we did our true crime episodes, we did one about a young lad called Brian McDermott.
Yep.
And in that, I sort of implored the police service to relook at this, that this is a ritualistic murder. And the RUC, formerly, the now PSNI, are now reinvestigating it. And they've contacted me. I've given them every bit of information I could. I am helping them with their inquiries, as they say. And they are now re-looking into the murder of this poor laddie.
Now, that was the one, if I'm right, John, where there was missing limbs, right?
Yeah, an arm was missing.
The left arm, right?
The left arm was missing, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to watch that, by the way, there's a whole playlist on the front page of my channel of videos that are hosted on Shaun's channel. That are the first 2 seasons of Crime Theory with John and I. And the first series really takes you on a journey from like the 40s right the way up to now, looking at this web of conspiracy that all connects over the decades.
And so it gets even better. But I started getting contacts from everywhere, and a group contacted me. And again, they watched the videos that we've been doing about the care homes, and also about the elite boarding schools. We did one on places like Eton, Winchester, and these and prep schools and that. And this group, they set themselves up as a survivor group because they're former boarders at these elite schools, and they thought 1 or 2 people come forward. They were inundated with thousands come forward. Right, and they've reached out and said, but they said, thank you, John. You're the only one, because they watched this show. You're the only one who goes on to talk about the schools that we went to, because there's no sympathy for us, because they see us as posh kids and we deserve it.
Yeah,
and they went on to sort of say some of the abuse. It's absolutely horrific, but it's also been echoed now by, get this, Princess Diana's brother. Charles, what's his name again? I can't remember his other name. Spencer. Charles Spencer. And so, honestly, it's even got as far as him, Charles Spencer. So how amazing is that? We've now gone into like the aristocracy. So it's incredible, the reach. And I think what is done with the work that I've been doing, and I've been doing with yourself, Shaun, and many others, is it's been cementing very, very deep foundations. And they've looked into this. They could have attacked us, they could have criticised us, but when you're telling the truth, what can they do? What can they do? My narrative doesn't change. I don't sort of like start bumping things up. I tell it as it is, and as horrific as it is. But that's what needs to be said. And then I get contacted by a guy who was head of the Times newspaper in Southern Ireland. A really lovely guy called John Walters. And John Walters is a bit of a celebrity in Ireland. His former wife was a woman called Sinead O'Connor. So it's the ex-husband of Sinead O'Connor. And so John's contacted me and said, I really follow what you're doing. And so I got invited out to Southern Ireland to talk at a huge venue, a massive venue that was packed. And I shared a stage with John Walters, and it was just got blown away by it. It was fantastic. So it's gone, in all honesty, it's gone crazy. But, all I've done is implore people, keep coming forward. Something will go bang in central London or somewhere, and the heat will go from this, and the focus will go on something else, right? It will happen, because this is getting too big now, and they'll shut it down like they did with the Prince Andrew thing. When it first came out, we all would end up getting that weird virus, didn't we? And no one heard of it again. But we've just got to keep hitting it. People need to keep coming forward, speaking about it. Don't go with the conspiracies. Do not go there. Stick with the facts. And away we go. And that's that. And it's it has gone. And the other thing is, of course, we've had our friend Julia, had her court case and got found guilty and all that. And she's brilliant. I like the girl, but I did warn her. So be very careful. You've got to be very careful. So unless you've got the facts, it's a dodgy game. It's a real dodgy game out there. So, but I think we underestimate sometimes our appeal, really, and how many people actually do tune in and listen to it also.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, John, right? It was a snowball effect of you coming back each week and saying, oh, this guy's contacted me and said that they're watching it. And then it was this, and then it was that. And then it's slowly grown into this entire mission that you've been on. You've been all around the country. You've been over in Ireland. You've been hitting the streets. You've been making shows. You've been doing interviews. It's absolutely incredible. And I just want everyone to know who is watching right now. John's done all that, still on 45k subscribers. So our mission now is to get John a play button by New Year. Okay. That has to be the mission. All right. So make sure you share it out. Make sure you get all your devices. Make sure you tell your gran, get her freaking device, get everyone subscribing to John. And John and I are going to be putting together a weekly show for everyone over on his channel and really delving in finally to his corner of the internet, because you've done the rounds now, mate. And it's time for everyone that's done you favors to be cashed in.
Yeah. And I don't ask anyone for money. I travel out my own pocket to these venues, and it sometimes it comes at a big personal expense. So it's but the strange thing is, as soon as I started doing this again, you started getting all the lunatics, the trolling lunatics. They sort of poke their head up again, but I'm so beyond even giving them airtime or
but that's just the natural ecosystem of media, of public being in the public. It's you can't have one without the other, sadly.
Yeah, of course. So that's that. But yeah, it's been good. It's been very, very good.
It sounds like it.
I'm in a place where I don't know. It's like a reward, really.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's happened is you've got my old buddy, my old partner in this. You know, Billy Maloney of Pie and Mash Films.
Right.
He did a video because he was a filmmaker. He made a short. Well, no, it wasn't a short film. It was an hour-long film called Adam Rickwood and the Middensley Heroes, and it was all about a guy called Adam Rickwood, who was the youngest lad to ever die in custody, juvenile detention custody, and then through that, Bill started looking at a juvenile institution called Medemsley in County Durham, Concert, in the north of England. Bill did that 17 years ago and was saying the government needs to look into this place. Well, there's now the largest child abuse inquiry ever going on. And the guy that Bill Maloney named 17 years ago, Neville Husband, has now been officially cited as the biggest PDF file ever in UK history. So, again, Bill was my buddy. I worked closely with Bill for a long, long time. And, and so just goes to show what we've been talking about and screaming about, and we've been attacked for it and really criticised. And also with these podcasters, I'm seeing the same thing. You know, they're like, oh, we don't really want to talk about the old child stuff. Can we talk a bit more about this? But well, I can't do it. I don't really want to talk about my life, and I'd rather talk about my work because that's what really has moulded me into this sort of person that I am. And now I'm seeing these podcasters basically abandoning a lot of their old rhetoric and going down the lines of the child abuse stuff.
Yeah.
And when you look at especially these big podcast channels now, the crime ones, all they talk really is about, talk to an ex-gangster and it'll go back to childhood, and the child is one of abuse. It's like almost 9 out of 10 of them. I was brought up with kids sometimes. Bang, what have I been saying, screaming about for so long? Yes, this is what you'll find. You can't ignore it and just talk about the armed robbery. And to be honest, no one wants to hear that. And your audience is very, very small, very niche. And it tends to be the bottom end of society. But, of course, now we've opened up what we talk about.
Yeah.
You've got people from the housing estates listen to us. We've got the bus drivers, the road sweepers. Now, we've got the elite aristocracy, the brother of Princess Diana, also tuning in. Wow.
Wild. It's
and
wild.
Elon Musk.
And
the
Elon.
richest man in the world. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the thing that I love about the Elon situation is he's quite renowned for calling people out and reposting things that, regardless of the light that they shed people in, he'll post it out there. And it's good that he posted somebody, like you, John. You know what I'm saying? You're not some high level politician. You're not some singer or actor. You're somebody with the truth and the story that backs it all up. And I'm so proud of everything you've done, John. I really am, mate.
I never had the national media behind me, and there was one police whistleblower who did, and sort of never really put stuff the other way, and it was a bit disheartening, really. But when I got onto TV and I spoke out, I started giving thanks and praise to those that went before me. People like Lenny Harper, who exposed the Haute de la Garenne, the horrific murders of young kids that went on in the states of Jersey. Lenny Harper was a senior police officer who got bullied like me, and then Constable for Wiltshire. He's the one who really opened it up about Ted Heath and his nefarious activities, and he suffered as well. So we forget about these people, and I don't want to forget them. When I on national media gave thanks and praise to Lenny Harper and to Mike Veal, because I think they're heroes. They were under the firing line far worse than me. But we don't hear about them. We hear about one person in particular, and I'm not going to name or denigrate them because I don't want to do that. But and you just get one narrative. You say, hang on a second, you wake up, because there's a whole bunch of us that have been screaming about this for a long, long time.
100%. And like I say, the timing of this for me is an interesting one. This year has been interesting with regards to the characters involved in the main story that's playing out with the man formerly known as Prince and the man from the island, right? Mm-hmm. We've had Virginia Giuffre, the only witness, unalived, all the rest of it. Let me get your take, John, on the Prince Andrew situation, because we've not really seen each other since all that kicked off. I want to get your take on that.
Do you know what really annoys me with that? Because he's a despicable man, and he's a liar. He's gone on and given that. I don't know what would you call it. It was contemptible BBC interview, and shame on the BBC for even doing that. It shows who sort of funds them. This man is just a wrong un, hands down, and I think what's happened is that his brother had to get rid of him because I reckon Special Branch have been inundated with allegations against him. That's my opinion. I don't know that. I'm just surmising from the position I used to be in. And another person who stands up for him, Jim Davidson. You listen to Jim Davidson. He's got this news channel he runs online, and he stood up for him the other day. Stood up for him. So I don't know Jim Davidson. I've got nothing to do with him. I met him once, and he was really rude. So I'm not here to knock him or slag him off. But I find that very weird. Well, that someone would openly and publicly stand up for this man. And again, the Virginia girl. Now, whether she took her own life or someone took it for her, the outcome's the same. She's no longer here. Now, so I don't know. We don't know what happened. We weren't there. Right? But this was a woman who endured abuse, childhood abuse. They say she's 17. Oh, come on. What's a man in his age doing with a 17-year-old girl? It's stinking anyway. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And the lie about the hand and all that. Just lying. Right? But either way, even if the narrative is correct that she took her own life, she took her own life because of people like him abusing her. That's why she took her own life, if she did. I say the outcome's the same, whether they did it or she did it. The outcome's the same.
Yeah.
That girl was prematurely taken because she was a victim. And, so she's a good, brave woman, and well done her for standing up. And she should be testimony. I know it didn't end well with her, but she's just a girl. People are on their own. People need to start speaking out. What she did was gallant. They should. I don't know.
Does it not sort of leave you with a foul taste of they were sending a message by eliminating Virginia at a time where all of the survivors should be coming forward at this stage now? Isn't this just the ultimate keep your mouth shut?
They always do that, don't they? I mean, when these allegations started coming out, you've got national media mocking them and attacking the survivors, the victims, calling them money grabbers and liars. And then if one of them did get found guilty of perverting the course of justice, they were getting like top heavy sentences, like 90. I mean, look at Wilfred. My friend Wilfred. What he was doing with the SRA stuff. He, never committed an offence in his life. Guy of meritable conduct, and his first offence, he got 17 years with a recommendation by the Home Secretary that he served 11 and a half of them. Yeah. So we see this all the time. Of course, and I say this to people, they're going to come for you. And when they do, don't expect any clemency because you're not going to get it. You're going to get hurt. And they did the same to me. What they did to me was just absolutely abhorrent. And what had I done? Just spoke out and done the right thing. So, they're going to come for you. They are. Expect it. You punch a hornet's nest, you're going to get stung, not just once, you're going to get stung multiple times with absolute venom. So that's what happens. But what do? We do nothing or we do something. But this is what I'm saying. And I've said this many times, we must stick to the facts. If we don't know it, we don't know it. And that's that,
Well, listen, because you brought up Wilfred, it's been a long time coming. And I spent weeks and weeks a couple of years ago putting together an entire show on Wilfred. I'd copied clips, because they've all been wiped. I've still got them all saved because he was just stripped from the internet. And we'll probably do that on my channel or on your channel, John. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the reason you and I met, was me contacting you to ask you if it was possible to set up a conversation between Wilfred and I in the prison. I'm sure that's how we met.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Wilfred's gone a bit incognito,
Okay.
which is his choice. I did have contact with him. He's now moved prison. He's now further nearer to home. He continues in his campaign to get his sentence reduced or to get it overturned. But I don't know. Will it happen? Who knows? Who knows? We can only but hope and pray. I personally don't think there's much chance of it, but they will make an example of you, but you must do everything within the parameters of the law. Unfortunately, he steps out of them, and he got hit hard. I personally would not have done what he did. I'm not knocking him. It was his choice, but it would not be my choice. And I say that to everyone: do the right thing. Don't take the law into your own hands. You can't do that. You must do it the right way.
Yeah.
But, even if the system is fundamentally flawed and they do nothing, we all know that. But, but today's a big deal. Today is a big deal. We've had the commissioner overturn now 90,000. Is it 90,000 or 9,000? No, 9,000. 9,000. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Which one?
Cases of child exploitation are now being
reopened,
investigated. That's, is that anything to do with me? Maybe. I like to think so, and
I like to think so too.
And I'll actually take that to my grave, saying that probably it did. And the same as the mayor's done a total 180 on this, and is now funding it after calling me a malicious liar. So, and the only way I could do it was by doing the right thing, and doing it within journalistic parameters. But we've got the tools. One of the ones is the reins list. The one thing I want now is, if anyone says, what can we do? I'll tell you what to do. And I keep saying it, and people don't do it. And they say, John Wedger doesn't name names. And and I'll speak, John Wedger don't sort of guide us in what to do. Well, firstly, it's not for me to guide anyone, but you've got the reins list. Yeah, post the reins list online. And those in there, if they're in public office, such as police officers, such as MPs, report them and submit the range list as your exhibit. It's a powerful document. And also, I do name people. I've named, and I've named them in the show. I've named a woman who trafficked kids, a lady called Fiona Walsh. So I have named them, and I've named them in inquiries, and I've named them to central government, and I've named them to the Home Secretary. So I have named names. And why would I libelously put myself in jeopardy so I can't then carry on? That's like someone loading a gun and giving it to me to fire. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, plus you'll get people that try and bait you out to do that as well, John.
Of course, they all do it all the time, and I'm not interested, not interested. But we get a lot of damaged people that tune in and get angry, and they think I'm some sort of answer to all their problems, and if I don't help them, then I work for MI5, and I mean, Matt time I've heard that. I didn't even know what a shill was. And they went, John Wedger's a shill, and I didn't know what it was. I thought, what's a shill? I had to Google it. A grifter and a shill. Well, a grifter must be a bike, didn't it? It was a rally grifter, and a shill, I never even heard the term. But anyway, so I tend to elevate myself away from that sort of stupidity. I don't.
No, 100%, mate. 100%. Now, I had promised the people, John, if they got us up to 750 live viewers on the main channel here, that I would do a little call-in section. And a minute ago, they got up to 748. So we're going to check back in a few minutes, and you guys will be able to come on, ask some questions, and just give us your point of view, because, we do enjoy hearing your guys' input on all these topics. So Yeah, what I'll do, we'll give you, we'll give you. I'll post a link. So what happens, guys? If you come and join the show, you get to ask some questions. You get to discuss the topics. You won't be on camera, even if your camera is on. It will just be your voice. Effectively, it will just be where is it? This one here, John. John will be up there. Like, hang on a minute. Once one figures this out, move John there, and then do this. And there we go. And you'll be able to come on and give us your thoughts and ask some questions. If you're all right with that, John?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And what's next for you, John? Like, what's next on the I mean, obviously, we're going to be doing shows
we're doing
over
a
on your channel.
And I'm asking for people to come forward and email me if they're a victim of the old child
Horrors.
Yeah, but working in the SEX industry as a child
Okay.
care home, especially in London, there's an opportunity to be part of a documentary. I'm asking for people that maybe have worked in care homes in the London area that witnessed this, and also I'm asking for people that might back then have been pimps.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
And I was strict. Something really amazing happened. I get contacted by a woman, and she was one of the juvenile toms when I was working on the streets. And I went and met with her, and straight away I recognised her name. I sat down with her, and she showed me the picture, the custody image that we used to have in our folders to look out for these juveniles. And straight away I knew who it was, and it was quite an emotional meeting.
Yeah.
And she's put her life together, um, and she's turned around. She said, "Everything you said, I totally concur. I back up everything you said. I was on them kids, I was, and how when you go on these shows and say it, that's how it was, John. Yeah, I, I will back you up with that." And that was lovely to get that corroboration. It was really nice, and it was good to see that she's come through it. And
Yeah, that's amazing.
She's got a powerful story. But
I bet.
she was telling me people involved and some of the police corruption, everything. And of course, it's nothing I don't know, but it was good to see it from the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if I've got to stress my parameters are very, very tight. So if anyone contacts me saying that they've got a kid in care that they want help with, I can't help you. Someone got in contact that they can't pay their rent and the government is stealing their money. I can't be dealing with that. I'm not international rescue. I'm dealing strictly, and you'll get shortchanged from me on that one. I can't. I've not got the time scale to entertain it. Good luck and all that, but
yeah,
I'm not going to assist you with that because I can't. But if anyone has got experiences, and the other thing which was good was that the Fornethi girls got a result in Scotland, the Perthshire care home that we spoke about when we did the true crime on Nicholas Fairbairn, the advocate for the Procurator Fiscal. They took to court the former headmistress of the school, and she's been convicted of many cases of abuse against the girls. So that was something that we picked on about a year ago, and maybe more. I think it was about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing what just having a discussion on the internet can lead to. It really is.
Yeah,
we've got some questions from the side chat here though. What first one is from this keeps switching us out every time I click on something, so I'm just going to make you full screen, John. John, what are your thoughts on the SEX abuse case involving the former DUP Sir Geoffrey Donaldson and his wife and their underage daughters and niece? Was one of those in Donegal in rituals?
All right, so that's the question. Was he one of those? I've never come across his name. I need to be appraised of this situation with Geoffrey Donaldson.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'd have to look it up. I may well have heard of it, but it's gone out of my mind at the moment. They're underage daughter and niece. I'm presuming it's some sort of SEX scandal or whatever. But Cyril Smith, yeah. I know. I know. Look, Cyril Smith, he was stopped by the intelligence services. No, stopped by the police in Northamptonshire going up the motorway, and was caught with child P on him, and it was all covered up. His name, Cyril Smith, was one of the MPs, along with Nicholas Fairbairn, of 3 MPs that were named in the Elm Guesthouse child brothel. So, what is it with this guy? How was he allowed to get away with it? It was a horrific PDF file, horrible, and a danger to children. And it was no secret. The intelligence services knew about him. The police knew about him. And again, his victims should be getting huge compensation, because the government have been, vicariously liable in that one.
I agree. We've got our first caller, and it's Fern. How are you, Fern? Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Very, very well.
Hello.
Have you got a question for John?
Hi, John.
Hiya.
I'm not sure of the subject today, but
all right. Well, look. Well, what we'll do is we'll come back to you, Fern, and you can get caught up, and we'll see if you want to ask a question in a minute or two. Next caller is Andrew. I'm just going to double check something on this, John. Just give me 1 second. And then I bring in Andrew on this, John. Just give me 1 second. How are we doing, Andrew? Can you turn your live stream off in the background?
I was wondering if Savile was intelligent. I'll try and turn my sound off.
Can you turn your live stream off in the background, mate? So we can't, because all I can hear is the show coming through your monitor, your screen, mate.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Andrew. What's your question?
Yeah, great. Savile, I do a lot of stuff on intelligence. I was wondering if Savile was connected to intelligence, whether that was too good an opportunity to miss, i.e. Elm Guesthouse as a honey trap, like Epstein was Mossad, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, someone contacted me once, and they were a child, and they were in Elm Guesthouse, and their job was as a lookout. And they would have to look out for like people approaching the house or the police and things like that. And they said that Savile would visit that place. I mean, my opinion on Savile was that he was an intelligence asset, and that would explain like he was like a participating informant for the intelligence services. Because what he was committing, the crimes he was committing, was probably less than the information he was giving up. So that's how it works. And I think he was a fixer. He was just servicing the very rich, the very famous, the very wealthy, the very connected, the very political, with whatever perversion that they have. Now,
and also to pin them down by them being compromised. They can be promoted to high levels. They're safe. Safe assets of the government.
Yeah, I spoke to a guy, a senior social worker, who went on to become a local authority councillor. And he's the one who actually exposed the Elm Guesthouse list. He gave us the Elm Guesthouse list. He's dead now, a guy called Chris Fay, a lovely guy. And I said, Chris, why do the intelligence services not get rid of incriminating paperwork? Because the police would. The police used to burn it, right?
Correct.
And they did. And he said, for one reason, blackmail. It's got huge blackmail value. And that's why it's in a nutshell. Now, what is interesting is that the people I've been dealing with recently that are now victims and survivors of these sort of elite fee-paying boarding and public schools, such as Eton, Winchester, and these sort of ones, they're sort of coming out in their droves now and speaking up. And of course, these are schools that are feeders into Oxford, Cambridge, into Sandhurst, into the great city institutions, and ultimately into Parliament. And when we've had 11 prime ministers that are the byproduct of these schools, such as Eton, and then you've got the systemic abuse, which is usually a combination of emotional abuse, sadistic beatings, and sex abuse. These are people that are very emotionally damaged, and then they may well have proclivity to have liking for young boys, young kids, whatever, and they will be the ultimate sort of prey for places like Elm Guesthouse, and of course they will be catered for by the likes of Savile. So it does make sense, and it's not a conspiracy either. It's not. It's not when you've got the brother of the former Princess of Wales coming forward and speaking openly about the sadistic beatings and sex abuse in these fee-paying schools. It's not a conspiracy. It goes on. And, thank you to people like Corinne Hutstabar that have been screaming about this for ages. And good on Shaun Attwood and many other podcasters that are brave enough to get guests like myself on there and run with it and have faith in us. That we're not going to turn out to be conspiracy nutters, because we're not.
I went and got the conspiracy facts, like I worked on John Lennon's assassination, and that had intelligence links. They just wanted him out of the way, but yeah.
There comes a point where people, like I spoke about the 27 Club, and I got the intel from a survivor of ritual abuse. There comes a point where survivors of this, they don't want to acquiesce anymore. They want to say no. They have a change of heart. They grow up. They mature. They see God. They see the value in life. They realise it's perverted. It's wrong. And the fee that they paid for fame wasn't worth it, because they've traded their soul. And I think sometimes it's too much. Either they do themselves in, or they destroy themselves, or they get topped off. And I think that does go on.
What's the worst they can do? Kill you, hey?
Exactly. We're all going to die, aren't we?
We're all going to die.
I want to go to my grave knowing I did all I could to expose this evil.
With a clean soul. Yes, well, Savile's files were burnt and destroyed. That Keir Starmer didn't take any action on Savile.
Well, of course. Well, we've got to look at Leon Britton, mentioned many times, and even mentioned in the
youngest Home Secretary.
And he was a Home Secretary. He went on to become the Secretary for Northern Ireland.
He was safe because,
the amount of intelligence that he had access to, and he was obstructive in so many high-level child abuse cases, and his wife went on to sue. I think one of the main nationals for printing out that her husband was a PDF file, which later was suspected of and came out in a national inquiry anyway. So pretty much the inference is, yes, he was. But she got nearly £1 million on top of how much money she's got, Lady Britain, anyway. And I did a podcast the other day, and I said, he's in hell. He's gone to hell for what he did. And I said, whether she's alive or not, I don't know. The same as Esther Ranson, I don't know. But was all that wealth worth it? Because Esther Ranson will be drawing her last breath soon, right? And that's not a wholesome woman, in my opinion. And then you've got people like Lady Britain as well. All that money, I hope every meal that she bought with that money was the most exquisite bit of food ever. I hope that if she went on holiday, it was the most luxurious holiday, because her time of luxury is going to come to an end if she's profited out the misery of children.
Mm-hmm.
She's done for.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, unfortunately, is the only justice that they will probably get, these people, is when they shut their eyes. The devil's waiting for them. They're in a world of trouble.
Well, John, thank you, Andrew. Hope that we'll hope to see you again one day, mate. And thank you for coming on the show. Fern is back. Fern, are you with us?
Yes. I just want to ask a question. Do you think, I don't know if you've watched anime at all, but I watched one and there was a reference to Royal Guard dogs, which I presume was about a special agency that is given to the palace.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, if it's in an anime, right, you may be reaching here a little bit, Fern.
I don't even know what
but
that
it
is.
makes sense. Because
it could be a subtle reference to something. You know how these people like to put things out in the open. But
I just wondered if they were connected to the other intelligence agencies, or they were the intelligence agencies.
It would be impossible for us to know. Yeah, it'd be impossible for us to know, Fern. I'm sorry to say without knowing. But look, thank you so much for your question and your time. Thank you for being here. Anyone else who'd like to come and join us, please make sure you do so. John's links are in the description. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you share this out. And we've got a few more minutes, and we would love to hear from you guys. So come and join us. John, what's next for you? I mean, obviously, we're going to be back on our weekly show here. We're going to be starting our show over on your channel. There's a lot going on. But what else? What else is happening?
Well, I'd like to be. I'm planning on doing a bit of work and going around and interviewing survivors from these residential institutions, no matter
Yeah.
what they are, and then drawing a parallel between, you know, the detriment they suffered as a result of it. So whether they've come from, you know, the lower classes, whether they've come from the working classes, the traveller community, or the upper classes, the middle classes, all those that have endured abuse at whatever level, and then draw parallels and see the, you know, as much as the abuse is unifying in its repugnance and horrific nature, also the detriment to the survivors are, and what help is there for them. You know, it's that I am fascinated by these prep schools and these fee paying public schools, how they've got away with it, you know, and this is where you get the real cognitive dissonances from the you know, the regulators of these places, and that stiff upper lip. And when you look at what brought these into existence, you know, it was really, Britain was building its empire, and they needed total loyalty, and they needed really basically psychopaths to go out into the you know, the uncharted world and take it. And what they put these kids through pretty much prepared them for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, listen, it's been a while, John, right? So hit us with some Jesus stuff, okay? Because it's been a while, and I want to hear some.
Yeah, well, we've got a baptism running in the East End of London on Sunday. We made the national newspapers a few months ago because I had I thought, you know, a band member, not former, current band member, but original band member of the band East 17, contacted me and said he wanted to become a Christian, born again Christian. And the late gangster Dave Courtney, his best friend, contacted me and said that, you know, Dave, before he shot himself, was going on about going to Jesus. So it looked like Dave Courtney may have been changing his ways, but his best friend, he too wanted to do it. So I arranged for a baptism at the church I go to, right in the heart of the East End. And the irony is we got an ex-gangster, a man who served time for the murder of the villain Jack the Hackman Vitti, an ex-gangster called Chris Lambriano, a committed Christian now, man totally turned his back on a life of crime. And Chris is ordained to do baptisms. So Chris did the baptisms, and the Daily Mail run a story on it. So we made the papers there. We've got another one coming up. We've got a real mix of people. We've got an ex champion boxer who's now be careful if that is Brian from E17.
Yeah, I had it out with Brian from E17.
I'm not really interested.
I had beef with Brian. It's funny.
Yeah, it's not him anyway. But, you know, we got a bare knuckle fighter, an ex-boxer. We got a gangster. We've got survivors of ritual abuse and all sorts coming along to be baptised. So I sort of proactively do that, taking people into the kingdom of Christ, which I think is important, especially in these times now. And I just, I'm currently on 4 days into a week of prayer and fasting. So that's why I'm chewing gum, because I've not eaten anything for over 4 days now. So I was a bit worried because I did an interview for the TV earlier, and your sugar levels go and your brain goes a bit when you've not been eating. And I thought, I hope I don't sort of get deluded and hallucinating, but
start waffling in that because your sugar's low.
You know, that's what I've been doing. So prayer and fasting, I think it's important.
Good, man.
And you know, we're in crazy times. There's never been such a resurgence of people going to Christ. It's becoming, especially among young men. The churches are starting to fill up with young men that are just like saying, well, there's something in it. I mean, even blokes like Joe Rogan, who was mocking it a year ago, is now turned around and said, no, there's something in this. So
you
know, it's tough times. You know, we need to get strong spiritually, because I think things are going to go very pear-shaped. Things
are going to hit the fan, mate. And do you know what? I had an epiphany the other day, and I've completely figured out all religion. I know that sounds like a bold claim, but I've completely figured it all out, right? So all the gods and all the faiths, I want you to think of that as a bunch of keys, John, right? And then I want you to think of a massive mansion with loads and loads and loads of locked doors, right? And those locked doors are periods in time, all right? That certain keys fit into at a certain time, but it all exists. There you go. Figured it out, mate. Figured it all out.
Jesus said, you know, my Father's house has many rooms. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah,
maybe he's talking through me, John. Maybe he's talking through me. All right. Well, listen, it's always a pleasure. Next week the show will be slightly longer as well, everybody. And you know, John, thank you for being back here. Freaking legend. Like I say, I'll be on your case tomorrow, getting some stuff rolling out for you and the channel and everything like that.
But we've now seen the benefit of what we've been talking about. We've got
we have
home that, you know, that's come to fruition, and the room GG thing, of course, that was going to take on an episode. But the big one was Brian McDermott.
It was
wow.
It was wow.
I was so happy with that. Whatever happens, good. If it officially comes out or not, I don't know. But the fact is, they're looking at it, and you know,
the ball's rolling on it. And like I say, I remember sitting when we filmed that episode, and that whole journey for that first season, I was just in awe of the journey, awe and shock and horror, and you know, all of the above. But it's just such a good feeling that you're back. It's coming up to Christmas. It's all good. You're fasting. All power to you.
I'm doing the pants swimming. So I've been actually got to a point where I got addicted to it. So I nearly caught hypothermia last week because I spent just short of an hour in the water, which I shouldn't have done.
That is like a psychologist wet dream, that statement. I've become addicted to swimming in my pants.
It's so weird. This cold water, the water is below 10 degrees now, so it's getting incredibly cold.
Cold water does amazing things.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
absolutely phenomenal.
Cold plunging. You can buy little like lightweight fold out baths that you fill up with ice and water, and you can dunk yourself in. It's really popular, John.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So that's going on. I'm doing that. I'm videoing it each time, and I've been doing it constantly. So.
And if you want to see John in his pants, you can buy his premium content off of all those known premium content files for the low price of just £9 a month. See this wonderful ex-copper in his pants. I'm joking, of course. It's all on his YouTube.
Well, I've got a Patreon link. Buy me a coffee. So if anyone wants to put £1 in to keep me going, because I don't earn a penny for monetization at all. Well,
you will be soon. You will be soon, because I don't know what John's been doing on his massive tour and managed to get zero promotion out of it for himself. So we're changing all of that. You guys need to help. We want to get him 100,000 subscribers and get his play button. Stay tuned for the new shows. Support that. Support the Patreon, and I'll be shoving all of the third party ways that you can support John down your throats from tomorrow. And I just want to say once again, John, we're all super proud of you, and we all love you to bits. And
well, thank you for the platform. You know, couldn't have done it.
Thank you.
Couldn't have done it without the platform.
Well, look,
I appreciate it.
It's just the beginning, mate. Even though lots has been done, and shout out to you, brother, and much love as always. And to you, the watcher at home, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the Shaun Attwood channel. We will be back next week at 8 o'clock with John Wedger for our usual 2-hour shows. And yeah, John, see you then.
Wicked, man. Cheers.